guests that are visiting from the world. And we have a professor from faculty, Professor Saul. And we have Mars, I'm gonna try and say this, Klimatsweska? How did that sound? From CLO3D, who she's gonna develop now more on the topic. Revolution, right now my brain's not functioning anymore. But they're revolutionizing, thank you so much. The industry, the school, actually, the students are exposed to it, are working with it. It's super interesting, and we also have Danilo Venturi visiting us from Italy, and we're so happy to have you both. Thank you for coming to Miami. Thank you for joining us, and please, Professor, take it away.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. You're actually survivors after a day. But don't worry, we'll stay here kind of 2 hours, right? So don't worry. So I quickly introduce myself. My name is Danilo Venturi, you know already, and I'm director of IED, which is IED, Istituto Europeo di Design in Milan. I was director of Polymoda in Florence before, and working for La Perla, the lingerie brand, before that. So basically, I'm coming from Italy and knowing the production side, which is more Florence, where you have the top tier brands producing there, and Milan is more the window. So as a school, we show in the Milan Fashion Week in the calendar, and it's a big window. And what else? I wrote also 3 books. The last one is Brand Persona, with a foreword by Marco Bizzarri, back then CEO of Gucci. And that's it. Mars, what about you?
Hi, everyone. To Danilo's point, thank you so much for, for sticking with us. My name is Mars Klimaszewska. I am on the business development team at CLO Virtual Fashion out of the New York office. And prior to working at CLO, I've been in the retail industry for the last 19 years or so for a variety of retail brands. My degree is in fashion design, but I've worked in a lot of project management settings. Most recently, really getting to see how 3D has helped create a lot of efficiencies and alleviate pain points in the product development and garment design process. So really passionate about 3D, and now I get to help clients with that working at CLO.
And Saul?
Well, my name is Saul Kapelipski. A lot of you know me because I'm at the Fashion Institute across the street. I'm fairly new to Miami-Dade. I've been here for a year, but I've been teaching for, it's going to develop my age, about 16 years in different schools. And I've been a fashion designer for probably about 39 years and mostly doing bridal and evening wear, but pretty much about everything. And I have ended up seeing the part of the business from both ends, from the entrepreneurship side and also from the design aspect. So launching a company was very helpful. COVID, that I had a lot of time for it. But as my students would say, I'm always mentioning that fashion design is not just creating beautiful things, but making beautiful things that actually sell, and we can make a business from it. So, welcome everybody.
Yeah. So, today we talk about technology, education, and fashion. Somehow it's topics that have been touched already during the day, so it's also kind of wrapping up, but also adding something on top. I would like to start with a song, which is Video Killed the Radio Stars, which actually never happened, meaning that the new media and the new tools we have in technology never kill the previous ones, but they integrate. So the question is, how does CLO3D integrate artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so 2 ways that CLO3D has approached AI is through kind of what we refer to as automation AI. And so these are tools and features that help enhance but not replace creativity. So these are tools and features that take away the mundane and time-consuming tasks. And while AI, I feel like in the last, couple years or so has really exploded as a buzzword, CLO has actually been using AI in our tools and features for several years now. Generative AI is the kind of other AI that I feel like we're most used to hearing about with ChatGPT and creating images and talking to AI. And so that is one where we are still figuring out what that means in CLO. Right now, some of the tools and features that we've launched incorporate Gen AI in the ideation part of the process. And so what that means is as designers are figuring out, artwork placement or things in the beginning of the process and they're brainstorming and they want to do something quickly, but not in a time-consuming way. That is where Gen AI really has its, can you still hear me? Really has its role within the process. And so if you think of it, automation AI, we've been using it and it's been a really successful part of, automation AI, which has been a part of the process, has been working really well at alleviating those mundane tasks. And then Gen AI is something, we're still admittedly figuring out what the best use case is in that early part of the production process has been working well so far.
Right. So video didn't kill the radio stars.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Saul, question for you. So there is no doubt that artificial intelligence is the topic of the moment, right? And we in YED have a position about that. And this position is not about artificial intelligence against human being, because we are aware that technology coming from Techne, Greece, is part of the human. So it's completely normal to have, an evolution in technology. But we talk about multiple intelligences because we are used to consider intelligence as something rational. But there's already in the humankind some intelligence that is not rational. It's more empathetic and it's more based on, ideas that come and they chase you and then you create something out of that. You know that because you are a designer. And then there's also natural intelligence because I think we believe in YED that nature is much more intelligent than us, like does design very well. And then, of course, we also have artificial intelligence. Like, how can we make all these different intelligences stay together and work together for creativity, for a better world, for the things we believe in?
So is it working? It is? Okay, so what we have to think first of anything is that all of this technology is just a tool, and the human creativity is never going to go away. So the knowledge on how to know how to create something and what's going to look like after it's done, it actually will help us understand what's coming up. I want to go back. We talked about this before having this meeting. I'm going to talk a little bit about history since I've been around for a little long time. Patterns used to be done by hand. They were cut in oak tag, cardboard, so it would last longer. Every time you cut something, you had to trace it into the fabric and run the machine through it. And then all of a sudden, CAD came in, and then those patterns were actually put into a system So what we were doing is we were just shrinking real estate. We don't have to have a humongous building to house that many patterns. It was kind of housed now into a computer. It was a room, cost a lot of money. It needed all these terminals. But at the same time, what it has created, and this is where the advantage of this is, creates libraries. So what you talk about the mundane is you don't have to start from zero every time you make something. You can come back and pull something that already exists and then make the corrections to alter the silhouette and the proportion and all the elements that would be on a design. And that's really what the advantage of it is. I'm probably the biggest advocate of CLO because in the sense that it has turned out into being a whole factory of having all of this building with all of this paper that is being wasted and talking about all day long about sustainability, right? And now you have it on your computer, on a flash drive, on an external drive, all of that production that you used to have to get a warehouse of 20,000 square feet into just your little laptop. And you can actually work as you are traveling from one location into another, as long as you have internet, right? So again, it has become a tool. So every time we come up with a new design, the design aspect of it, the human aspect of it, it's never gonna go away. It's always gonna be there, and you need to have the knowledge of how the fabric is gonna react to your idea and how it's going to be projected. Because as much and as wonderful the technology is an avatar. It is a body constructed out of particles in triangles. It is not a human body. Yes, it does change, it moves, but as a human, we need to sit down. We need to get up. You need to go up the stairs. We need to, I make a joke and says you need to slap your boyfriend with it, right? But you need to be human. So it still needs to be produced to be able to see this. But we always had to be very clear that all of this technology has to be a tool, and our creativity and our human aspect on it, it's never going to be replaced. I might be wrong, but that's what my hopes are.
Wow. So Mars, I want your opinion on something. Once Miuccia Prada said that if you say that you don't follow fashion, this is already a fashion statement. You cannot escape from fashion, even if you are against or anti-fashion or something. And because of that, obviously, we need to be informed, and we have been watching all the fashion shows, especially Milan and Paris, and we saw that creative directors of many brands have changed this year, and we said, oh, finally, we need something new. Because in the last 30 years, we had a very flat fashion, very few exceptions, At least nothing new, like really changing, like, I don't know, when Armani came in the late 70s, he deconstructed the jacket and completely, changed the way men were wearing clothes, when and how, So something disruptive like that. We don't have it since a long time. So the question is it enough to change the creative directors? Did we see something new, anything? Or what do we need for creativity in fashion?
Yeah, I think that, I think that that's such an important thing to think about with, with regards to creative directors at fashion brands and leaders in general. I think that something that's really critical as creative directors come in and breathe new fresh air into a brand and into the perception of it and everything that they bring with it is that it's really critical to build and maintain trust with their team members and to bring the vision and a clear vision of where the brand or the design label is going. But not only bring that vision with them, but then also very clearly communicate it to the team and make sure that you are employing diverse talent and trusting them and creating a mutual relationship of trust. And I think that, I'm sorry, my little cheat sheet. With CLO, something that, we really strive for is, every development, every feature that we work on, we're really doing that in response to the users that we hear from. And so these are the designers that are actually creating. They are executing on a vision, but they are the ones actually behind the scenes and behind the work that is that's creating the beautiful work that we see and the beautiful lines that we see, whether it's on a luxury level or whether it's more mass produced. And so while the cycle of creative direction is, it's important for that cycle to maintain and kind of breathe new life into these brands. And I think that it's all something that we can get excited about as we hear about this during and see the new lines at Fashion Week. However, really that relationship with your team is going to be, and with your designers that are executing on your vision, is going to be critical.
Thank you. About education. Yeah. So if we look at designers from the past, many of them, they had a non-linear education, or not at all, no education at all. I mean fashion education. And yet today we are trying to put students from fashion department together with those of design department, visual arts department, communication department, cinema. And we are inviting many people to talk to students, like, I mean, not people from the faculty who are teaching every day, but people from outside, in order to, to create this kind of freedom of thinking, freedom of creating, without taking count of, when you're looking for a job and they're looking to your CV and they say, and here, what happened? And why did it change? And like if it's a guilt, So how can we make this a positive side and fill this gap with the industry, between school and industry?
So I think that everything goes in an evolution and in circles. And for a very long time, everybody has been very programmed into producing clothes, and that's why it standardized a lot of the designs. And it's been a trend in, whenever a company's sales starts going down, what's the first person to go? Is the designer. They just recycle the designers. But if you see what's happened right now, it's just musical chairs. Everybody has moved. There's really no new blood to bring in any new ideas. They're really not experimenting with anybody new because they are too driven by the sell-through and the dollars or whatever money in anywhere in the world it is. So I think that the trend is going to turn into we need more creative aspects and exploring into different subjects and into different fields. It's always a new perspective, a brand new eye. I tell my students all the time that inspiration should not be, and I heard it in a talk earlier, a mood board is not clothes from other designers. You can't predict the future when it already happened. So then it's going to be always very boring, right? So if you can bring an aspect from a completely different field on it, it should never be considered a negative, actually a positive, because it's going to bring a brand new eye, a newer money that revolutionized what designs were, a new Versace that came up with bright colors and all the celebrity, that celebrity fever that we have right now that everybody's looking up to, it was done by them. We need that to make fashion exciting and not just the t-shirt, because you already have a t-shirt in your closet, right? So a t-shirt that will be a brand new t-shirt where whenever you wear it, there's going to be people and it's like, that's so beautiful, where'd you get it, right? So that's what I think is going to be the future. I mean, I've heard of Naeem Kam that it was talking about looking at the beauty of things in a different way, right? And they're right in front of you. It's just your point of view. How you're going to interpret that to make that basic t-shirt that you wear every day, but so much more beautiful that you have to have it. And what is going to be that aspect on it to make it that different?
Yeah, so that's for you. And sustainability was the previous super topic. I mean, before we had AI, now we discuss about AI. Now, sustainability was the previous one. But it didn't disappear. Somehow, sustainability became something more like human-related than material-related, like diversity, inclusivity. So a better environment, let's say, also human environment. I think CLO3D is very sustainable, and because it's not using any material, so more sustainable than that doesn't exist. You just have to find a way not to use electricity, and then, yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah, but you know, I also think that creativity is the best form of sustainability, because creativity means to produce, to create something that has creative quotient, and when you have it, you don't want to get rid of it. Like in communication, if you have advertising, you give a pamphlet, the pamphlet ends up in the dustbin very soon. If you give a book, you don't throw it, you keep it, right? Or maybe you give it to someone else. And like with the clothes, it's the same thing. So what is your take on sustainability? What's the next step? Because as I said, CLO3D is sustainable, right? What can you do more than that?
No, and I think we definitely want to support sustainability. It's very critical. We already have been a part of the process of eliminating unnecessary waste in the sample creation process. However, transparently, we are still part of the retail process that ultimately is creating new product. That said, we are a global brand. For those who don't know, our company is actually based out of South Korea. We have offices around the world, on just about every continent. And so one thing that we're excited to, work on supporting is around the world, specifically, just one example is within the EU. There's legislation around digital product passport and creating, retail items that meet certain sustainability standards as part of the EU's initiative to reduce the carbon footprint. And so, that deadline for companies is forthcoming. I think it's still in 2027. And so that's something that, we're very much brainstorming how we can be a part of that, how we can help be at the forefront of supporting brands based in the EU in meeting those standards, meeting that legislative requirement. And so, beyond that, I can't reveal much, but that's that's one way that we're hoping to be part of the change.
Okay, Saul, you were supposed to keep me tight with time and questions.
Time. We have like 4 minutes.
4 minutes? Yeah. Okay.
We don't want to torture everybody.
So let's talk about Generation Z. As you were teaching, you know them very well, and I would like to explain to those who are not belonging to Generation Z or Z, I don't know, what's the difference? Because you know what, knowing the industry from inside, I see that many colleagues of mine in the industry think as Generation Z comes after millennials, they are a kind of extension of them. Instead, in my opinion, they are completely different because Generation Z is the kids of Generation X, while millennials are the kids of the boomers. So they had a very different education, different families, and so on. So can you explain us what's different?
Sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, but I have to say that brand new generation is a generation of instant recognition. And I want to add to something that you guys talk about. It's the creative aspect of it, but it's more about critical thinking. And be on your toes and figure it out that if something doesn't happen, the next thing, you have to be quick on making that decision. You have to be very clever on that. We get it. So my point to that is, instead of trying to cut corners, do the due diligence play so you can understand how it really should be done. And then you can figure out where corners can be taken. But when you try to find the easy way out, then you don't know really how it's truly made. So there is no one really true easy way out. So that's what I see the difference on. And the ones that actually do take the time to actually experiment are the ones that are the most successful. Now, one thing that is against most of this new generation is that they don't have the fashion history that we do. And we haven't really studied the evolution of what really happened on your head. I mean, myself, I have a few decades that I have had that library on my head, but when I went to school myself, I had to learn what a couple centuries before did, and how it evolved, and what are all the components that actually affected the way that fashion was, which is political, economical, human, shape of bodies do change through decades. So it is really important to take the time and the extra effort to learn a little bit more, and not spend all the time trying to just do something to do it. Because you're spending more time trying to figure out ways on finishing that up than actually learning something new that is going to give you those ideas automatically.
There was a Japanese philosopher who's talking, always talking about the end of history. I'm from time to time I'm still teaching, and I saw that this generation likes to learn history in a vertical way. Like, you set some points, I don't know, black, punk, flowers, whatever, and then you go back and forth through the designers and the events that happened in history. Like, if it was yesterday, maybe it was 200 years ago, but you connect them. So somehow I also see a possibility on that. Like, I see students coming up with ideas and I never thought possible, because they don't have the historical references, so they kind of messing it up, and it's looking nice in the end, you know. So that was not a question. It was the introduction for the concept of error, which I believe in. Like, again, go to the jacket of Armani without shoulders. He didn't have pads, so he left it without shoulders with the pads. And this means that you could wear the jacket not only for occasions, but every day, during the day, with jeans. So it changed everything with an error. So now the error is, up to now, I've been posing the questions to you and to you, but you never posed the question to her, and vice versa, and nobody posed the question to me. And nobody posed the question to public, and the public didn't pose the questions to us. So now we mess up everything, and you pose a question to her, you to him, and somebody to me, and then we start with public and see what comes out.
Okay. I like that. So I know that CLO launches a brand new software update every year with tremendous changes, and then they spend throughout all the years doing, by the way, you can get to the YouTube CLO channel, and then you can learn about them. But especially have a webinar every time they do it. So what are the one thing, and and I respect a lot that they listen to their customer and what their input is into what to improve and where are the problems and what is that the industry needs. So give us a little peek of what would be the next thing, just globally, of what it seems to be that the industry is asking from CLO to improve in their software.
Yeah, I think that the things that we're most excited in the next year or so is we're working on refining a lot about our how fabric is digitized in CLO. So currently there's a couple ways to work with fabric in the software. One of the more fun ones is there is an AI generated, an AI powered fabric generator. So you enter your fiber content, your weight, some other details, and it generates your digital fabric for you. It is not perfect. A lot of people have a lot of fun with it, but there's always room for improvement. And so, we just recently announced the launch of a new, we call it the ZFab kit. So it is a fabric kit that is available to our enterprise clients currently so that they can digitize fabrics in-house. We also just acquired the company Swatchbook, which is a California-based fabric and materials digitizing company. And so they have done decades of research behind the data that they use to digitize a variety of fabrics. They have fabrics available for use and for purchase. You can work with them to digitize your own. And so I think that this is going to be really, these two kind of latest bits of news are going to really be phenomenal when it comes to fabric and fit accuracy ultimately, because to be accurate with your fabric is really going to be critical in achieving the right fit. So I think that's something that we're really excited about. And we're working a lot with partnering with, I think that part of the reason why I think it's so exciting that we're able to work with academic organizations is as students are learning these real-life applications that they can use in the industry, something that we're really excited about is partnering more closely with vendors and bridging the gap with our vendors that produce the goods with the brands that are designing them. And so I mentioned that we're global. We have offices all over Southeast Asia, in Latin and South America. And so we work also really closely, specifically, directly with the vendors that are producing the goods. And they have such a wealth of knowledge because, again, they are the ones producing everything. So they have the expertise on how to produce a quality product. And a lot of them have been also using CLO for years, and they're very good at it. So we're excited to bridge that gap more and bring that relationship together.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So in the spirit of asking you a question, Saul, yes. I'm curious if you can share what do you see students being the most excited about with when they learn 3D, whether it's some tools and features or just seeing their garments come to life digitally. Just curious what do you see?
The bottom line is they're happy if they are able to make the exercise.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, as I mentioned earlier, it's a generation of instant gratification and trying to cut corners. So they are kind of figuring out that they can do the same thing that they would do it with a pair of scissors and tape and adding another piece of paper, to do it digitally much faster and actually see it on a body live. So if there is any changes on it, they just can tweak it on it and see it in a second. What are those changes? Where in real life, you have to go back and cut another garment and then sew it and put it on. So that's a sustainable part. It's a little kind of like a component on all of it. But that really works out best for the students.
I also like CLO3D because it's a white Canva every time. It's like a white paper if you're a writer. And I still remember an occasion when, I told you before, working in YED, I worked in Polymoda, and at a certain point we had a new building, which was beside the American Embassy in Florence. And it was an amazing building, I think from 17th century, if I'm not wrong. And first time we went in, before, even, starting works, it was Mr. Ferragamo, who was my president, and Linda Lopa, who was a previous director, and we went, the three of us there. And so there was all paintings, and like it was beautiful, like, we would say Renaissance style. And I posed a question. I said, we are going to make all white here, right? And obviously Mr. Ferragamo looked at me like, take your tongue and make a scarf out of it. And while Linda Lopa, who's coming from Antwerp, so it's more understood what I meant. Sometimes the heritage is, and the history is a lot to handle with. While white Canva is, wow, let's start from somewhere, I believe that our students without history can have history in another way. Or maybe they can make history. Yeah. So at what point of the error are we?
We are
Past long time. So we open to questions if there are questions. Yeah.
Hello. 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 Well, I believe y'all. Oh yeah, y'all could hear me. Hi, my name is Frank Kelly. I like how you just spoke on history because it is what my question is about, and I think I want to direct my question to Saul as a fashion designer and a professor. You spoke on history, learning like even old history of fashion from 100 years ago, and so my question is, will fashion history play a part or apply and for what's to come with all of this AI and technology? And if so, what would that look like?
Fashion is an evolution. And I heard so much on this floor today, says we don't, and we heard it from Nicole, she has her 80s clothes and she's not getting rid of them because everybody thinks that it's gonna come back. It's never gonna come back. It's gonna come back reinterpreted. But you need to have the base of the knowledge of what happened to be able to reinterpret. So that way you don't become the designer that is doing something that already happened and is old and you're actually ignorant. You're not ignorant because you didn't know about it, right? But the people that do know about it, this is like, you're a novice, right? So history is always gonna happen. There is always gonna be an evolution. It's never going to go away. And the more educated you are about it, the better designer you will become, or merchandiser, or anybody in the industry, because we need that reference to know how can you be innovative if you don't know what happened before, right? How can you reinvent the wheel when you don't know that the wheel even existed? So that's what my point would be.
Other questions? You want to go home? Say the truth. Okay.
I think we need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really want to extend the thank to both of you that who come from so far away and make the special trip to be here and share your knowledge and your interest and actually make the industry better and keep growing. And it doesn't grow anywhere if we doesn't come from the new generation that is going to come into the industry. So thank you so much for being here, sharing your knowledge, and
thanks to you guys, thanks to the organization, to Oscar, to Miami Fashion Week, to Date, and also to you.
Thank you, Danilo. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Freedom, rise with me, my freedom, freedom.
light, oh. Give me more control.